Hi friends, I welcome you all here at TNV Academy. In this session, we are going to talk about an international standard ISO 13485 2016. Let's discuss subclause 7.4 purchasing. Let me talk about the subclause 7.4.1 purchasing process. This subclause 7.4.1 of ISO 13485 states that the organization is required to document procedures to ensure that purchased product conforms to specified purchasing information. As per this clause, the organization is required to establish criteria for the evaluation and selection of suppliers. The criteria must be based on the supplier's ability to provide product that meets the organization's requirements, based on the performance of the supplier, based on the effect of the purchased product on the quality of the medical device, proportionate to the risk associated with the medical device. Subclause says that the organization is required to plan the monitoring and re-evaluation of suppliers. Supplier performance in meeting requirements for the purchased product must be monitored. The results of the monitoring must provide an input into the supplier re-evaluation process. This clause specifies that non-fulfillment of purchasing requirements are required to be addressed with the supplier proportionate to the risk associated with the purchased product and compliance with applicable regulatory requirements. This subclause 7.4.1 states that records of the results of evaluation, selection, monitoring, and re-evaluation of supplier capability or performance and any necessary actions arising from these activities are required to be maintained to meet the requirements of the standard. Let me talk about subclause 7.4.2, purchasing information. As per this subclause 7.4.2, purchasing information is required to describe or reference the product to be purchased, including as appropriate, product specifications, requirements for product acceptance, procedures, processes, and equipment, requirements for qualification of supplier personnel, quality management system requirements. Clause specifies that the organization is required to ensure the adequacy of specified purchasing requirements prior to their communication to the supplier. According to this subclause, purchasing information must include, as applicable, a written agreement that the supplier notifies the organization of changes in the purchased product prior to the implementation of any changes that affect the ability of the purchased product to meet specified purchase requirements. Subclause 7.4.2 says that the organization is required to maintain relevant purchasing information in the form of documents and records to the extent required for traceability given in subclause 7.5.9 of the standard. Coming to subclause 7.4.3, verification of purchased product. This subclause 7.4.3 of standard specifies that the organization is required to establish and implement the inspection or other activities necessary for ensuring that purchased product meets specified purchasing requirements. This clause says that the extent of verification activities is required to be based on the supplier's evaluation results and proportionate to the risks associated with the purchased product. As per this subclause, when the organization becomes aware of any changes to the purchased product, the organization is required to determine whether these changes affect the product realization process or the medical device. Clause further states that when the organization or its customer intends to perform verification at the supplier's premises, the organization is required to state the intended verification activities and method of product release in the purchasing information. Lastly, this subclause specifies that organization is required to maintain the records of the verification to meet the requirements of the standard. For more information about our institute and other training programs, you can contact us through email or phone. I sincerely thank you for all your interest and attention. Thanks and best wishes.